What?
We didn't even test.
What do you mean we didn't test? Test my balls? What?
Ladies and gentlemen, fighting out of the left corner, we have a M80roller.com weighing in at 3 ounces with the neon green style of fighting. M80 Roller. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know what the fuck just happened. Welcome to the Dos Leos podcast. Myself.
Is this a midnight hour?
Yeah, this is the midnight special, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for doing that because you saved me because I was making a weird sound that was not sounding like anything. But I was like, what's that good sound I can hear? You saved me. This podcast is brought to you by, as you saw, our introduction, M80roller.com. Matt, would you like to tell the beautiful people watching all across the world what that is?
M80 roller is also known as a foam roller. Please do try it out. If you're at the gym and you see any type of cylinder just like this, it doesn't have to be hollow like mine. Or if you do find one of mine, definitely give it a shot. But the cool part about it is you really can't hurt yourself unless you were to stand on it with one foot and then slip off it and fall on your face or your head.
Don't want to do that.
But it's more of a self-diagnostic tool. So what I mean by that is if you're on the floor, you're rolling out your lats, rolling out your chest, rolling out your hips. If you feel a very, very a good pain, almost like a pain that you feel from a massage that, you know, hurts, but for some reason has that little bit of good, that means you have a tight muscle, probably a knot, any type of adhesion. So I guess to sum it up, there's a lot of unhealthy tissue. So the only way to break that up, rejuvenate that tissue, recover that tissue, and provide full use of that tissue is you foam roll. So overstimulate the muscle, roll on it, hold it on a certain spot if it hurts until you feel that muscle relax. Don't be shy. Try it out. Worst case scenario is you end up standing up feeling a little bit taller, a little bit better, and you know you've done something right.
Don't be shy. Try it out. If you want to be taller, you can try it out. Don't be alarmed if you're 6 inches taller after using this M80 roller. I will say that after using the generic ones at the gym and using this one, it's weird that when you hold this and you feel like you're selling it like a TV infomercial, you have to look at it from every angle. Like you have to hold it, but really, like I act like it's the first time I've ever seen something like this. But really, there's such a difference with using this one compared to the ones at the gym because, for one, these little rivets really get in there and break it up. It's not one solid thing that you kind of can roll on. But what's weird is every gym I've gone to, I haven't seen the good quality ones. I don't know if gyms like 24 Hour Fitness have a deal with a shitty ass foam roller and that's what they have to use. But have you thought about dropping these off at 24 hours?
Yes, right now we're in the works of that. But
with 24 hours specifically?
Well, several corporate gyms. But what we're trying to do is take it to this next step, which if you guys aren't aware, if you go to roguefitness.com right now, they sell Rogue rollers. So it actually has their brand on it. M80 Roller is the only company in the world doing that right now.
Wow.
So the great part about branding a roller for these corporate gyms is that, obviously it keeps marketing as it rolls along the gym. B,
I like that every now and then you throw in rolling. Like they just roll into people's hands. They just roll off the shelves.
Was it pun intended?
Yeah, pun intended.
Besides the advertisement effect, you still hold strong to your own, product. So for example, like sweat towels that they sell, say 24. Water bottles, 24. shirts 24. So you're almost trying to build this lifestyle brand. That's what M80 Roller is trying to create, is to help all these companies do that. Also, too, it prevents a lot of theft. If you really look at it, the really good rollers are expensive. Therefore, a lot of people don't spend money on them and leave them at a gym because a lot of people steal them.
You know what's funny? I got a closet full of 24-hour towels. But the thing is they don't say 24 on them anymore.
Really?
They just have a blue line going through them, so they can never be the ones that give to the guests.
Oh.
But I mean, I guess I told you to get one earlier. But that's smart. That's smart to put your 24-hour fitness.
Yeah, because imagine you walking out with one.
And that's crazy that you're the only company right now who's doing that, where you're actually putting.
I saw that niche market that wasn't tapped into, and I knew it was gonna. We're that side of the business as far as a branded is blowing up right now. Besides obviously having your own roller rolling around is, again, you're going to help with sales. So imagine if you had your little store at 24-Hour Fitness selling stuff, and then all of a sudden you have 24-Hour Fitness M80 rollers. No matter what it costs, $40-$50, people will buy it because everyone believes what they're doing. So if the store says we have 24-hour shirt, blah, 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 everything, people are most likely going to buy it because they're loyal to the brand.
Oh, see, that's some smart shit that I would never even think of. That's why I do this shit with Matt, because I'm hoping that one day when he's a billionaire, I just get somehow segued into my own office. Like, yeah, what is, some intern was going to be like, how does Evan contribute to the company? They're like, Evan makes funny YouTube videos.
He's our creative mind.
And I just sitting there just watching YouTube, sending you little things like, check out this cat. I'm just hoping one day to ride the coattails of Matt's domination of corporate America.
I've always thought, how cool would it be to have part of the office be just the hangout fun spot?
Well, that's what Google is.
Really?
A lot of those down in Silicon Valley, which is ridiculously expensive because that's where all these crazy, companies like Google, Facebook, Instagram, all these different headquarters are. They have that type of thing at Google, and I'm sure there's tons of different companies that are along the same technology that do it. But they have play areas, they have arcades, they have paid for, like cafeterias where all the employees can just go, and they're actually bomb-ass restaurants. Like, the headquarters have, insane stuff. Some of them, they even say they have, like, mini carnivals in them.
Really?
Yeah, crazy stuff. They have slides. There's if I find a cool pictures or video, I'll put it in the link so you can check out what Google headquarters looks like. But it's legit. They have, ball pits and everything like that. I could be talking out of my ass right now, but I'm pretty sure one of these companies I saw that they had, like, instead of like a stairs, they had slides going down to a ball pit.
No, I completely believe that.
Yeah. No, when you got Google money, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can kill an elephant every day before work starts.
The funny thing is, I was on Google Maps the other day, and I almost had like a flashback going, that's when you have a lot of power, is when you freaking buy space on a satellite that takes pictures of the Earth. What other company does that besides NASA?
You know what's so crazy that you just said that? I just saw online before we started this podcast, you now can do Google Earth on the ocean floor.
Really? So they're doing submarines?
It was the first picture I saw, and it looked like a shot of a reef.
Really?
Like fish and everything. So I don't know if that was just an example, like, oh, they're doing under the water, so someone grabbed a picture and put it up as that, or I don't know if it was a shot from Google Earth water now, I guess.
Well, is there addresses?
I don't know. Maybe, pinpoint locations, like with the degrees.
Oh, the coordinates.
Yeah. Where you can put it and everything. So that's just crazy that now you can go underwater and check out Google Earth. There actually was a guy who got caught cheating because his girlfriend checked the Google Earth of something. I don't know if it was random, but I think she checked the Google Earth. And I've done this when you're with a friend, you just type in an address like, oh, let me see my house on it. I think she ended up putting her boyfriend's house. Like, oh, let me just see its house. And they caught on the image him kissing another girl on Google Earth. Are you kidding? Yeah, and those are updated every few months or something like that. And I think they had been together for years, so definitely there was no getting out of that one. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
How random is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you think about everything that's happened. There's had to have been one incident where that is real. Like, it's crazy enough to happen at least once.
Oh, yeah, the probability.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the wrap-up of the M80roller.com portion of our sponsor. The other portion, I'll make this nice and sweet for you, evanlopez.com. What does that mean? Evan Lopez, myself, I refer to myself as a symbol like Prince now, talking about myself in third person. evanlopez.com is a group of people that will edit videos for you, will shoot videos for you, and evanlopez.com is an entity that will even make instrumentals for your songs. I'll even record you. If we talk and you want to set up studio time and you want guidance with the song and everything like that, we can do that too. But there's more of a process to make it through that. And I'm not just gonna work with any old hobo. But no offense to hobos out there. But yeah, evanlopez.com for music, for video editing, and all of that. And if you just want to talk, I also have a hotline at evanlopez.com. This has gone on way too far. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the real podcast now. All of a sudden, I feel this pressure to talk about stuff. Is there anything you'd like to get off your chest?
Life is good.
Life is good.
Life is good.
This is the first podcast. Actually, I guess it's the second that we're actually recording since we put out podcasts, since the public has actually seen them. And so far, the reception of it has been pretty good. I don't know the iTunes numbers yet, but they're well into over at least 100 downloads.
Really?
And I'll be honest, those aren't all mine. There's at least 4 of them that are mine. Fuck yeah, I'm going to download my own podcast. Of course I'm going to rate and review it. Why wouldn't you? But how's it feel to you to put a podcast out there? It's kind of a weird thing to do a podcast. At least for me. I guess it's probably not as weird for me because I put out music videos and kind of I'm like, look at me. But is it kind of weird? Dude, that's how you feel sometimes. That was a hard thing for me to get over when I was doing music, was putting it out and being like, you have to look for attention. You're now in a field that requires you. It's not like I can just be, drawn to do music. I want to do it and can go find a job and just work 8 hours a day and work hard at it and, hey, how you doing? And just be quiet, It's one of those things where it demands attention. It demands you being a whore for attention. It's true. It's weird, but it's true that, just like they say actors get really weird because they're constantly in this weird thing where they're trying to impress people and all of a sudden they turn into these needy people. Actors are weird, They're weird people. I don't know if you've ever interacted with them. I've taken a few acting classes. No big deal. Natural. But you get around people who do theater a lot and are going on auditions, and it's constantly, I think you develop an insecurity because you're dealing with so much rejection and having to go to auditions and not making it and people saying, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too skinny, you're too fat, and all this different stuff. So I think you start to get a complex that you never even really had, and maybe you did. A lot of people are broken, but you start acting different, and then you have to start overcompensating. So then you start getting around like the weird Hollywood people who are in that grind and are constantly trying to network at parties. And have you ever got the vibe from people? You ever been around people who are kind of involved in that life, and you feel from the start they're like looking down at you and like, oh, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
That's all you got to say about it. Yeah, no, it's weird getting back to it and how it relates to me. It's weird doing music sometimes where you're in something that demands you to go out and be a whore metaphorically speaking, not in a literal sense sometimes. But you really have to post videos all the time. You got to do this, you got to do that. You know, you need that. And it's weird for me because I'm kind of the opposite when it comes to that kind of attention. And it was a weird transition. Was it a weird transition for you at all to putting out podcasts?
You know, I thought I would be a little bit more nervous, but when we're sitting here lounging, you know, drinking whatever we need to drink, and then just talking about life, I feel like it just doesn't feel weird. I thought it would.
You thought it'd be weird to actually do a podcast?
Well, yeah, it's almost like both the camera and the microphone make it feel like you're actually in something, as far as in a photo shoot or in a radio, things of that nature. So I think brings a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to mess up, you don't want to stutter, but I think that's what we're trying to demonstrate is just being real. So even if I do stutter, even if I don't pronunciate something right, it's not like I have anyone pointing a finger at me.
Yeah, that's what I like about doing a podcast. I say that like we've been doing this for years or something. Like we're looking back on our career. I like the freedom of it, and I learned stuff from it about myself, and it's weird because recently, just from doing the podcast for the little time we've been doing it, I've gotten better at storytelling in my songs. When I start writing, I've noticed the last couple songs, which I'll be putting out hopefully within the next month or something, doing a video. I've gotten better at storytelling, and it might even be that I've gone through the podcast and we've hashed through some stuff that I've never really talked about in a public way like this. So doing it in a podcast almost allowed me to go back and start being a lot more honest with what I'm writing. And it's also made me sharper, at being able to get a point across, because I think in a podcast way, this is like just teaching you how to talk, you know? It really is just teaching you how to have a good conversation. And I've noticed that I'm able to choose a better way. You know, some people, they're just really good at describing things.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten better at just being able, choosing the words and, you know, getting able to get a point across that makes it more universal for people to understand. Shout out to ladies, it's been a long night. You guys don't even understand what we've been through. Matt, I would like to talk to you about something that you're involved in currently. If people don't know, if you are not following m80roller.com, M80roller on Instagram, Matt is actually training for a triathlon right now.
Yeah, so pretty much I did my first triathlon out in St. George, Utah, 2013. It was a half Ironman, so 70.3 miles. And I fell in love with it, but the only problem is M80 was born 5 months before my race.
Was it born
that small?
6 inches, 4 ounces?
So I was blessed with M80 roller, which I don't regret putting everything else.
You really sound like a father talking about it. M80 roller was born and I was blessed. My life was changed.
Well, to tell you the truth, it does feel like my own kid because I've brought him to life.
Pinocchio story right here.
Literally, this was not together. And I was able to bring all these things together, and it takes on a life of its own. Right now, it's almost like if you were to sort of compare it to raising a kid, you know, he's ready to go off to college, you know, you sort of don't know what to expect. You don't, you know, you hope.
Have you talked to him about sex?
No.
Protection. That's the one thing you gotta say. Protection. Say, son, I know you're gonna use it. Just use protection. That's all I ask.
Yeah, so M80 has grown. I had to put my triathlon training on hold. And this year, 2014, I wanted to get back into it, so I started looking actually, sorry, for a triathlon bike because I knew that was something that I liked. So I didn't have a triathlon bike before; I just had a regular road bike. So now, obviously, since tri bikes are very expensive,
ridiculous,
you have to know if you want to do it or not. The great part about it is you have Craigslist and eBay, which a lot of people spend a lot of money when they first get a tri bike because they're all into it and maybe money is not an object. But it ends up collecting dust, or they just do one race and then they don't decide they want to do anymore. So the great part about it is you can take advantage of a really great bike when it comes to components if you look used. And
did you buy your whole bike used?
Yeah, my tri bike, I got it used, and this guy basically built it from the ground up, meaning that everything is custom. So it's a very unique bike. I mean, right now I have it in my kitchen. I always leave it in my kitchen, and I swear every morning I look at it, every afternoon I look at it, every night I look at it. It's a very sexy bike. And the great part about it is when you're on it, you just feel like you're Lance Armstrong or something.
Yeah. It's funny because there was a time I actually was training for a triathlon. I didn't end up getting to do it because of complications, but I went to a guy it was a custom bike. He would build the bikes. He was a retired, he competed in, I don't know, crazy France tours or whatever. I don't know. I could be making that up. But he was a very competitive rider, and he had tons of bikes. And he posted on Craigslist for college students to come by. They're looking for a bike. So I went to this guy's house. He had a whole backyard full of bikes, whole garage, everything just stacked, just at least 50 bikes.
Wow.
And he took my measurements and picked out not all my measurements, but he picked out a bike for me, and he went inside because we were kind of the same height. He went inside, got me 3 outfits. Actually, it was 2. 3. The whole like leotard thing that you put her in. He got me one. He put like I ended up paying $200, I believe, for this bike, or $300. It was an old I want to say a Schwinn, but I don't know. It was a racing bike. It had the handles, everything.
Really?
And he put like a $300 seat on it, a racing seat, because I told him I was going to end up doing a triathlon. So he's like, oh, then I'm not going to give you that seat. I'm going to give you an actual racing seat. And he put like a $300 seat on it because I went to the bike store like straight from there to get a helmet, everything. And they were like, whoa, that's a really expensive seat.
Really?
So the guy just hooked me up fat. But going to what you said about feeling like Lance Armstrong, it was my first day riding. I think I did like 16 miles the first day I ever rode on that kind of bike. But you best believe I had my head down and I was holding on those things and I'm just going. And I'm acting like this is a race, like Tour de France. You just feel it. When you're naturally put in that position where you're holding on to those handles. I could have held on here. It would have been more comfortable. But I was just down here tucking my head because I thought that's what I was supposed to be, just be aerodynamic. And I'm just going and doing it. And you feel like that. It's weird that once you get on one of those kinds of bike, you can't help but try to be...
Oh, yeah. The momentum you can create.
Yeah.
No, it's great. If you like, even just biking, I feel like it's not like you have to be a triathlete. If you like biking, there's a lot of races that are just biking in the sense... there's events that you ride 20 miles. There's events you ride 30. There's the centuries, which are 100 miles, and things of that nature. So that's the neat part about it is I grew up as a swimmer, and I never really biked besides mountain biking, and then running always came pretty natural to me. So I started training biking, and I fell in love with it. And I think why I fell in love with it is because it's almost like the same thing as running and swimming. Because you do everything on your own, usually,
yeah.
And you're doing it for a long period of time that I think reality slows down, and you're able to focus on your body, pushing, mentally getting over all these little humps, and I don't know, something about it. I think you have to have a certain personality in order to really get obsessive over that.
It's weird because when I think back to some of those crazy swim workouts, I think the craziest workout I ever did in college was I don't want to be lying about this, but it might have been 600 IMs. Something crazy. It was one of those crazy 3-hour Saturday practices.
The ones that just break your mind down.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's it.
If that's what it would have meant. Like, maybe that's what my coach meant, because we did sets like that, and we did 2500s. We would do crazy. The one thing I hate the most is pyramid sets, where it was like
going up and back
200 to 400 to 600 to 800, 1,000, then 800, 600, 400. He's like, "Are we gonna go through that 3 times?"
I know, right?
That was the worst thing to hear, that you're gonna go through it 3 times. But I know during those sets, there was a certain point where I had to get lost in my mind, because for me, boxing was a very cool thing that put me in that zone, just in that place. I was in that moment, and that's, I think, what people who do meditation, yoga, everything, they're trying to get just in that moment. They're trying to just be, and boxing, I was able to do that because I would just be in that moment. And yeah, I was trying to like dodge punches and be boxing, but I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was in this little bubble. But then swimming, for me, when you got into sets like that, I would be making up stories in my head. I would be, like, you figure out a song and you keep the tempo to that. Did you ever do that when you were swimming, where you had it kind of...
Well, the funny thing about music is I remember coaches always bringing up music or beats and stuff, but I'm not really a musical person, so I feel like I don't really relate to beats. So the only thing that I would do is hearing the sound of like splashing. I would tune myself into that.
What are you, a shark?
No, splashing when you enter your arm into the water, or like a thump of your kick behind you. And you just, I focus on that sound, and it's like...
It's weird? There's so many things that, tell me that, I was always naturally with music. Because I would literally, my strokes, and I'd be like, boom, boom, cha.
Really?
Boom, boom, cha. I would always do weird things with my mouth, while I was in the water.
Yeah.
I never even, thought about that till now, that it was this weird connection with music. But, yeah, I would do that.
Really?
Yeah. And also, obviously, I'm musical. If I hear anything, I have to start making a beat to it. If I hear any kind of weird tempo, anybody who's ever drove with me, someone's gonna tweet us, be like, "I drove with you. You didn't do this, asshole." If I'm turning, if I have the turn signal on, I always start making a beat, because it's a tempo. I'm just yeah, it's one of my weird things.
I've always been jealous of people with that musical ability.
Awkward.
Because I think holding a beat that's not just a one monotonous beat, but several, like what you just did, I find that very hard as far as mentally to be able to hold a beat like that.
It's weird? For me, it used to be, because really, my passion is writing. I like writing the actual music, the lyrics, the delivery. I like having witty, punchlines. I like having a real deep meaning behind the lyrics. I like having everything around that. I didn't get into making beats until I wanted to just have a fuller picture with the music I made. That's why I like making beats for myself, because it's a complete picture for me. I control all the colors. As corny as that sounds, all the colors are mine, and no one knows what picture you're trying to paint better than you, instead of just going and looking at different beats. But when I first was getting into beats, I didn't know what the fuck was going on in the beat. I would hear certain sounds, and I'd be like, okay, because first I would try emulating beats, figuring, different little snares and, toms and all different, your crash, everything. And I would just be like, I'd be trying to pick out a sound and be like, okay, well, what is that going to? This weird little, drum in the back I'm hearing. But then, you say, it seems so hard. But once you figure it out, and you're like, oh, this shit is all grooving, and you kind of learn the spacing of everything, it becomes really simple. And now when I listen to music, it's completely different.
Really?
There's so many songs that I've listened to that before I was like, oh, that shit is crazy. The way the beat is, the way everything, the progression, everything's nuts. But then now I literally can hear all of it, and I'm just like, oh, okay, oh, they pulled that part out, and they, I can like break apart all the different parts of the song. Yeah, I can figure out real quick the tempo of a beat, just like based off of listening to it.
Wow.
And that was one thing I was really impressed with when I took this songwriting class. I couldn't believe it. It was like magic. My teacher, someone would be playing a song, and he'd be like, that's 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's 1:15. And it blew me away. So it's like all smoke and mirrors, It seems magical, but then it becomes really...
I love that you bring that quote up all the time. It's smoke and mirrors. Because it really is. I feel like everything that you've given me light into, from green screen to now you're talking about music, there's a lot of things that you can cover up.
I really hope I'm not ruining it for everybody, and everybody's just going to think, there's no passion behind it. It's just all mechanical. But it is crazy, and it's crazy now because now that I'm trying to do more stuff with, green screen and more visual effects, I do go to movies and I just study everything.
Really?
Yeah, that's one thing I do like about, any new big movie that came out. I'll go watch it and I'll just try to watch for little details like, oh, how did they blend the background with the person in front of it? Like when you can tell, it's 100% green screen, you're like, oh, okay, what part of the set is real and what's just the background,
Huh.
I try to break that down. And like Planet of the Apes, I don't know if you've seen that new one.
No, I haven't.
Man, you don't even watch movies. You gotta catch up, man. You're so far behind. I'm almost jealous because I know there's such a world ahead of you that you don't even know about. But in the new Planet of the Apes movie, it's the most amazing special effects. The lead character is the same character that played Gollum in The Lord of the Rings.
Really?
And they have this technology where they have these little beads all over their face to pick up the entire, structure and, all his expressions and everything like that. And the way they did it is just insane. And I'll watch a movie like that, then I'll go home and I'll watch like 2 hours of behind the scenes.
Really?
On how they did everything, the sets. Same thing with like the Avengers. That whole movie was pretty much green screen. Like
really?
All the action scenes, yeah, the big cities. Just like when you're watching Transformers and you see like Mark Wahlberg's like, huh? This is a Transformer. And then you see like Transformer breaks through, the building and the whole building crumbles. Really, Mark Wahlberg's just standing there like a dork looking up at a green screen. There's nothing there and he's going, oh no, Bumblebee. And it's
just
really,
trying to pretend that it's happening.
Like he's actually seeing this, But then there's other things where it's so high tech that it's an actual set and half of it is explosions that are really there and then half of it's explosions that aren't there. And it's crazy stuff like that. So that's where the term smoke and mirrors comes from, is, smoke and mirrors, because I think that actually probably is derived from something with Houdini. I think he was the original one with the smoke and mirrors.
Actually, yeah, it has to do with magic.
Yeah. Well, that's all, magic is. Illusions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I went to a magician store in Las Vegas, and the guy behind the counter, I would ask him, like, oh, what is that? He's like, oh, this is the spinning card. He's like, it's magic. And then he would do this thing where he went, and he held this card, and it spun underneath his hand.
Really?
Yeah, and he went like this, and it was hanging, like, in between, and then he'd take it. And I'd be like, how'd you do that? He's like, you gotta buy it first, and then I'll show you. I'm like, this motherfucker. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, oh, this is the disappearing coin. And he would, like, hold it, and he'd have a little box, and coin would disappear. And he'd open the box, there'd be nothing there. And I'd be like, holy shit. I'd be like, how do you do that?
Buy it.
You gotta buy it. And I'm like, give me the card.
I know,
so
right?
I ended up buying the card, and I'm gonna ruin this for everybody else, but I'm also gonna save you, like, I think I paid $15 as a kid. You go to Las Vegas as a kid, $15 is a lot. You think you're gonna buy the strip, and I bought it, and it's a regular card. All it was, there was a thing of floss on his hand, and this douchebag, this dork, had this string on his finger the entire time he works, just in case someone asks, because all it was is he had this string on his finger underneath here. it stayed in his sleeve with a little piece of like rubber at the end of it.
Yeah, just to stick to the card.
And then he would pick up a card, and he would put it when you got to distract the person. It has like a little explanation thing on there and everything you're supposed to do. And, he's like, you got to distract them with your hands. And, you pull the rubber out, put it on your finger, and, then you press it on the card. And then you spin it, and it hangs on the string, the little invisible, like, string. And then when it starts slowing down, you got to grab it, and that's it. And you walk away. Magic. Presto.
So is this guy, he makes his own?
Nah, it was an official store. I want to say it was in a hotel, like the Houdini store, something like that. They had like little lamps. It was pretty big. I definitely got the bottom shelf of the magic tricks that they had there. But they had, I think, they even had the huge kits like for cutting people in half and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they went all the way.
Yeah.
Did you go up to that and look at that?
No, I didn't have the money even to ask him to show me. He wasn't gonna show me.
You gotta buy it.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Getting back to swimmer, we actually had a request to talk about swimming and why swimming isn't that big in the United States. Well, to be honest, Danny Colvin, it is pretty big. I feel like it is, but I think the one thing that kind of sucks is a lot of budget cuts are going towards swim teams for some reason, especially college sports.
Oh, yeah.
I know Northridge had a problem with that. I forgot what it was called, where they had to start cutting the guys' sports, and you guys almost lost your swim team.
We did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, it was, I want to say 2 years after I graduated, so around 2009 or 2010. They cut the program. UCI, University of Irvine,
Mm-hmm.
Their team was cut 1 year before us. Arizona also had theirs temporary. I don't know. But yeah, the problem with swimming is, I guess it's not popular because I feel like the majority of people don't really know too much about swimming.
Let me tell you something, everybody out there. If you're a guy, you get to strut around in your Speedos. And I mean, if you're packing, you're packing. You strut around, And you're getting to be around all these girls. Now I sound like a pervert because I'm older. But it's a great thing. You get to learn how to talk to ladies. And you get a good workout at the same time. And also, from an athlete standpoint, it's probably one of the best cross trainings you can do, because I know a lot of flyers got shoulder injuries, but for the most part, compared to a lot of other sports, the low impact on your joints, on your knees, is amazing. I know I never really had injuries. I would fake shit to get out of the pool when I was a kid, but I never had real injuries. I don't respect people that made up injuries. There was always people. We could probably say a couple names right now, but we're not, because I know that they watch this podcast. But there's always those people who they just been milking that injury, that old shoulder injury that comes down there every time.
That reminds me of one person always in morning practice.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after this. Yeah, there's always that one person who just makes shit up. You just want to be like, look, we have 2 more 50s, and you're doing this again. Every hard set that injury comes out. Yeah, I always hated that.
No, one of the things that, so when I was training for my half Ironman in 2013, I created a blog that pretty much tracked my training and my progress. It's currently still up. It's under Training for Ironman. Training with a number 4, not the word 4. Ironman.com. And one of my theories that I wanted to test was how swimming benefits everything outside the water. So my theory was, as a swimmer, you have to hold your breath with all 3 strokes besides backstroke. And when you hold your breath, you have no control over breathing. Like when you're on land, you can literally take small little breaths every second. You could take long breaths every couple seconds, whatever the case is, but you have that flexibility, you have the freedom. Swimming, you don't have that flexibility to breathe whenever you want to. So my theory was, because you can't force yourself to breathe whenever you want to, it increases the gap of not being able to breathe, which then you're exercising, which you're depleting your oxygen, and then you're creating more carbon dioxide, and then guess what? Every breath of air you rejuvenate, but you can't rejuvenate as much as you want to. So I took it onto myself that I was going to swim, but more of a quality-based swim workout. And when I say that is, I would literally, off of every wall, I would hold a tight streamline and do a regular flutter kick. And my goal was to get almost halfway across the pool off of every wall. Once I would pop up, I would take a breath every 3 strokes, again trying to lengthen the time that I would breathe. I started out by doing that theory of breathing every 3, holding at least a half lane or a half pool underwater streamline for 500 yards. And the way that I would do it is 2 laps of the freestyle, 1 lap kick on a board, just to sort of recover some of the oxygen. And I slowly built it up to 4,000 yards. And my running improved, my biking improved, because swimmers, divers, all those types of people, their lung capacity is impressive.
Yeah.
As far as being able to hold your breath and actually be able to do activities while holding your breath, and during that lactic threshold.
Well, that's the thing, is there's a lot of other sports that cross-train that oxygen deprivation.
There you go.
So it's crazy that that's the natural way swimming is. And I think that does play a big role in excelling in other sports and being able to handle that, because in other sports, when you start breathing more and everything, you start dealing with that oxygen deprivation because you're just physically not able to take those deep breaths, because a lot of times you start taking shallow breaths when you're tired, and that's one thing I noticed, that there's no other sport like swimming when it comes to conditioning, because it's 100% full body. You're doing a lot of different motions. If you're doing an IM, a 400 IM, you're doing squats at every wall, explosive squats, mixed with a flutter kick, mixed with a lat pull down, then mixed with a bench press. And you're literally combining your entire body into it. And I remember when I first started boxing, I came straight from swimming, meaning I was competing in swimming and went into boxing. My cardio was great. It's never, honestly, it's never even been at the point that I was when I was in college. But I remember it was it was something like I sparred. The first time I sparred, it was like not even a problem. Everybody talks about the first time you spar that you're going to, your energy drop. You're not going to be able to handle it. But I was no problem. And then when I stopped swimming and I took time off from boxing, went back, I was still running, working out, everything, lifting weights, and I sparred, and I was dead.
Really?
Yeah. So that theory, I back it 100%, that swimming is the best condition you can do for anything. And MMA fighters are starting to get into it and starting to cross-train with it, because it's nothing like it. Me
being a personal trainer, I would take any athlete, as far as if you're a parent, I would try to enroll your kid into a basic swim team. It doesn't even have to be anything great, and just have him just practice 2 nights a week, and just have the swimming be the swimming. And then obviously the next day they do their sport. But I would guarantee you that any kid that had the cross training of swimming supplemented in, they would be so superior with just their cardiovascular levels that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Any sport you have to run around.
Yeah.
Especially like soccer. That's why I always look at soccer and I'm like, that's a perfect example that you have to be well conditioned to be able to run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Why not supplement with swimming?
Yeah.
Because then you're running, guess what? Your recovery is a lot shorter than if you weren't a swimmer.
Yeah. Soccer's another one of those savant sports where they almost don't get the credit for how good of athletes they are. I know, of course, everybody knows the World Cup. For some reason, it felt to me like this was the first World Cup that everybody was into.
Well, because the United States had actually a pretty strong team, and we were able to excel.
Yeah.
More than ever before.
Yeah, we're not really big into soccer.
We aren't, and I think it's getting better, but I don't think we're there yet.
Who was the guy that we tried bringing in to bring some? Was it Beck?
Oh, David Beckham. Yeah, he played for the LA Galaxy.
They tried bringing him here, I think, to try to.
Well, the Galaxy made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Jersey sales. Just because Beckham. I mean, Beckham's Beckham.
I didn't even know Beckham was a real person until I heard someone talking about him. I thought it was like a cologne or something.
He makes a cologne too.
Oh, does he? Maybe that's how I had first heard of him.
He's married to
Posh.
one of the, yeah.
Tosh Point.
Tosh.
Is he gay?
No, I was about to say the Spicy Girls.
Spicy Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never even played soccer once. I remember going to your house and seeing your soccer pictures. Matt was that kid that had his soccer pictures with his team and then his little circle with his little face in it, his little jersey. And he always played for this one team, the Roadrunners, Gold Runners.
Oh, Hot Spurs.
Hot Spurs, sorry. And I remember the one thing I was always fascinated with is that from your first year playing with them, the mascot design got better and better.
Didn't it?
Better. And that was just the one thing that always stuck with me was, wow, that was pretty cool.
They're learning.
They got better and better and better.
Or we got more money and more money.
Yeah. They finally stopped having the coach's little brother drawing it. And those were the days where Matt had his haircut. If I can find a picture, I'm putting it right here. Matt had these little bangs. His head was shaved how it is now, but he had these little bangs, and that was it. And he used to comb it back, and he used just
It was just a little row of hair.
My first memory of Matt was him trying out on the swim team, and I remember you tried out with a cousin.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. My older cousin.
Angel?
David.
Angel. What the fuck did Angel from? And I remember you tried doing butterfly or something, and I was on the deck, and I was almost alarmed and wanted to jump in and be like, this kid is dying, because you looked like you were trying to walk on water with your position of your straight up and down. A common drowning pose.
Yeah.
And I remember your face was like this, like you were dying. And I'll never forget, your little strands of hair were covering your eyes, and you just kept coming up and going down. I said, all right, well, he's still making it. And then I remember you stuck with it. And I remember your dad said, my son will never wear Speedos. And you remember that?
Yeah.
He tried saying that you would never wear Speedos. He's never going to wear them. Matt will wear a Speedo any chance he gets now.
I wear one when I surf.
Wait, what?
Yeah, under my wetsuit I wear a Speedo.
I thought you just wore a Speedo when you were surfing. I was like, that's got to stop. We got to talk. We're going to shut this off.
No, for some reason, once you wear a Speedo, I think they're comfortable.
My older brother, Matthew, does that. He wears, when he goes spearfishing.
Does he?
He wears a Speedo underneath. It is comfortable. It's weird because sometimes I like to free ball it. But for the last few times I've gone spearfishing and I wear a wetsuit, I like to keep a Speedo under there. And it's official, ladies and gentlemen. I know I talked about the spearfishing record. It's officially up on the website.
Really?
That I now hold the Puerto Rican
Just your first and last name on there?
And a picture of me on the homepage.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. You should post it up.
I have a picture on Instagram, but I'll post a picture right here if I get a chance. I might have to do so many fucking edits with this one. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, this is going to be a short podcast.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
It's about 4 a.m. right now. And we're going to call it a night. But at MadeARoller.com, you can enter in the code when Matt gets around to it?
No, it's actually up.
Oh shit! Shout out to
Dos Leos. $5 off.
$5 off.
Dos Leos.
And evanlopez.com. I'm gonna actually put my catalog, my beat catalog, online very shortly, just so I don't have to keep sending people beats to decide what they like, send samples. So that's gonna be up very soon. It's shortly and soon put together. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Dos Leos podcast.
Peace. Good night.
Good night.
Night, night.
I'm tired of this shit.